Today, we're jumping into a really cool idea that kind of flips our whole understanding of culture on its head. It's all based on the work of Oliver Ding, and it explores this powerful thought. What if we don't just live in culture, but we're actually the ones writing it, all while looking ahead to the future?
So let's just start with a big question. Think about your own life for a second. Your career, your goals, all the projects you've got going on. Do you feel like you're just reacting to whatever comes your way? Or do you feel like you're the one holding the pen, actually writing the next chapter? That question, that's at the very core of what we're going to unpack.
Okay, so let's get into this quote because it's our key. It says building culture is an anticipatory activity. That just means we're always looking ahead. We create these concept systems, which are really just our big ideas and beliefs, and then we turn them into thematic enterprises. And a thematic enterprise can be anything. It could be starting a business, launching a new creative project, or even a social movement. It's all about turning our thoughts into real-world action, always with an eye on what's next.
Now, you'd probably think a theory about human culture would start with something like psychology or history, right? But this is where it gets really interesting. The spark for this whole idea, it didn't come from studying people at all. It actually came from theoretical biology.
So the whole thing starts with this concept from a biologist named Robert Rosen. He talked about an anticipatory system. And it's not just reactive. For example, think about a plant. It doesn't just feel the sun and then turn. It actually turns its leaves toward where the sun is going to be. See, it has this internal predictive model of its world, and it acts now based on a prediction about the future. It's a simple idea, but it's pretty profound when you think about it.
And this little diagram shows exactly how that works. So over on the left, you've got the natural system. That's our plant in the real world. Now follow that top arrow up. The plant encodes info into the formal system on the right. That's its internal model, its little prediction of where the sun's going to be. The model makes a guess, and then follow the bottom arrow. It decodes that prediction back into a real-world action. Bam! The leaves turn. It's this beautiful, elegant loop.
Okay, so a plant predicting the sun is one thing. That's pretty cool. But how in the world do you take that idea and scale it up to the messy, complicated world of human society? Well, that's the big leap this theory takes.
This timeline here shows that journey perfectly. It all kicks off in 1985 with Rosen's biological concept, the Anticipatory System, or AS. Then, fast forward to 2021, Oliver Ding adapts it into the Anticipatory Activity System, or AAS. That's the leap into sociology to understand us. And by 2025, it grows into the HLS framework, a whole new map for this new field of anticipatory sociology.
And you can see that leap right here, side by side. On the left is Rosen's original, simple loop. But on the right, whoa. The Anticipatory Activity System takes that same core idea, but levels it up for humans. See those new words inside the circle? Self, other, present, and future? This is the game changer. It builds in all the stuff that's unique to us, like our goals, our social lives, and our sense of self.
So let's zoom in on what makes that new model tick. It's really built around four things that are always interacting. You've got self, which is your inner world, your thoughts, your beliefs. Then there's other, which is all about your relationships and your social world. Present is just, well, what you're doing right now. And future is about the goals you're aiming for. These four things are in a constant dance, and that's what helps explain our own actions. But how does that connect to the whole world? Well, this is where the theory gets super ambitious. It takes that core idea about our individual actions and blows it up into a giant map of our entire social reality. And here it is, the HLS framework. I know it looks complex, but the best way to think about it is like a set of Russian nesting dolls. It's a map that shows how all the different layers of our reality are nested inside each other. So if you look, you can see how our body is inside our self, which is inside our life experiences, and all of that is happening inside the giant scope of history. Let's pull those layers apart.
Okay, let's unpack those nesting dolls from the inside out. At the very core, you've got the body, our basic biological selves. Wrapped around that is the self, our mental world, all our thoughts and feelings. That's nested inside life, which is all our actions and experiences. And that is part of history, the big collective story of society. And all of that exists within the multiverse. The broader context of nature and maybe even the spiritual. So, if that's our map of reality, where do our ideas fit into all of this? Well, that's what this diagram is all about. It layers different kinds of concept systems onto that map. So, for instance, your personal strategic frameworks, your own strategies for getting things done, they operate on one level. But much broader cultural frameworks, like shared social rules, they operate on a way bigger collective level.
In this table, it just makes that connection so clear. At the individual, or micro level, it's your personal mental platforms and strategic frameworks that drive what you do. But look how they mirror the collective, or macro level. That's where society's shared cultural frameworks and institutional frameworks shape history itself. The small scale and the large scale are basically reflections of each other. Okay, so we have all the building blocks now. We have the anticipatory system, the nested realities, and the map of ideas. Now let's put it all together to see the really powerful takeaway, how we actually literally create culture. So this whole process is happening on two parallel tracks. At the micro level, that's your life, your personal mental platforms create the strategic frameworks that guide your own projects. At the same time, at the macro level of society, our shared cultural frameworks become solid institutional frameworks that guide the path of history. Your personal anticipation is just a small-scale version of society's big-scale anticipation.
And this final image, the cultural projection model, pulls this whole theory together beautifully. Just follow the flow. It starts with that green oval on the right. That's our inner subjective world of ideas. Then, through this middle part called projecting, our inner world actively shapes the blue oval on the left, and that is the outer objective world of real events and social change. It's a straight line from our thoughts to reality.
So, why does any of this matter to you? Well, the takeaway is actually incredibly empowering. It means your inner world, your ideas, your personal goals, they aren't just passive things floating around in your head. They are the actual tiny engines of cultural change. Every single project you start, every idea you chase, it's a small act of writing the future.
Which brings us right back to where we started, but now with a completely different perspective. Knowing that your inner world of anticipation literally shapes outer reality. The question isn't if you're writing the future anymore. The question is, what future are you writing? So, what future are you anticipating?